What's up, everybody? Rex Extreme World. We are back into the phase of talking about lay about the LEGO DreamWorks. This time, episode 7. Now, since I technically went out of order because of the fact it's been a while since I've watched the final chapter or Forever After. Actually, it's the Forever After with Shrek. So yes, we're going back to Shrek before we can even go to Kung Fu Panda 3, and then we'll start on the whole thing trilogy with the dragons when we can. Obviously, all the dragons are going to be big Lego figures, but back to the story at hand. We are going to be talking about Shrek 4 Forever After, how it works. Okay, so the first level is basically a huge one with a huge, well, actually not a huge one, a level with a huge cutscene that sort of goes fast and a little bit slow in a way, so we can get the feel of it. Then Shrek gets captured. Now, actually, hold on a minute. Like I said about those little Shrek solo, like the solo things, Shrek, like I was originally thinking this would not be it because it would also be a cutscene too. And when it comes to the first, well, actually, it'll be sort of like a one on a boss battle between only Shrek. Well, free play you will have two players, but free play, but for regular mode it's player one. Player one has to basically fight off against a flock of witches, but of course fails. Second is which, of course, after meeting up with the donkey of the alternate timeline, he's now well. Let's just say that Shrek and Donkey have to basically flee the scene. But then it'll switch out to another solo thing as well. It'll be a whole cutscene stuff and things and stuff, and then it'll lead up to seeing a whole where a second player involves with Donkey and you guys try to escape Rumpelstiltskin and his horde of witches. Then you have to do some sort of little free roam. Well, no, not really. The level ends when Shrek gets into the and Donkey gets to the forest. Of course, there was a little commotion between the two. Or actually, right as they land, Donkey will say, "I've never seen an ogre cry before." Then the whole pancake waffle situation, and then captured by ogres that are really friendly when they got to know him, and it ends with Shrek getting his face slammed into the bottom sole of the boot that belongs to Fiona, who's leading the horde. So that's the end of that level. Free Roman stuff, try to get all the characters together. Then of course you have to basically use the new version of Fiona to go up against, along with the fat Puss in Boots, Donkey who doesn't know Shrek much, and Shrek himself. So all four of them must try to find a way to defeat them, and of course if the ogres get captured, including Fiona. But then actually I pretty much think Shrek 4 is going to only have 2 levels. Cause it's gonna pretty much be a whole free mode until it involves the Pied Piper. Yeah, there's a second boss, but no, I really do not know much of it. for one instance, I guess you could try escape from villagers, like a war barbarian Gingy, and others. Oh yeah, the secret deleted scene would be a perfect thing. And then, I mean, yes, Gingy leading both Pinocchio, Three Pigs, Huff and Puff Wolf, as they and the blind three blind mice as they try to capture Shrek and Donkey and Puss, but you have to fight them and they're bosses, of course. So that means you gotta go cat versus dog against, or cat versus wolf. No, they're technically dogs, just wild dogs, wolves. I mean, so Puss goes is like cat. You gotta play a cat, a fencing cat against a very powerful wolf, against a wolf in women's robes with a very powerful lung capacity to breathe powerful torrents of wind, as well as facing a horde of gingerbread animals, a gingerbread army soldiers, facing off against Pinocchio. I mean, that's pretty much a Puss in Boots thing, while Shrek and Donkey could probably handle a few tiny adversaries. Well, the three blind mice wouldn't be that difficult since they're blind. And then they try to sneak in, of course, but which leads up to the scene where Shrek gets himself captured. So then there's the free roam part where you just like outside the level. Shrek decides to go in and hands himself in and turns himself into Rumpelstiltskin. Third level, basically Shrek and Fiona are getting well, it also reveals how Rumpelstiltskin knows that Fiona wasn't all ogre. But at least Fiona now fully respects Shrek enough that he would do anything for ogre kind, and he did with that little deal of how he managed to convince Rumpelstiltskin that if he turns over, he frees the ogres, and he did that at least. Rumpelstiltskin at least had the balls to do that, was man enough to do so, to keep his word, even though as a tiny dwarf villain. Or a leprechaun. I honestly do not know if he's a leprechaun or a dwarf. I mean, I've seen gnomes and dwarves. Well, no, the seven little dwarves in the thing. So yeah, I'm guessing I'm gonna say like a mix between leprechaun, of an evil leprechaun, and who has the ability to change, who has a deep, powerful magic and stuff. And of course, he'll be able to fly, I guess. I mean, okay, so basically the third level, first part of the stage, you basically have to try to survive against dragon. Or actually, you get to play as both Donkey, Puss, and a few new ogres that you get to unlock, such as Cookie, that stoic ogre, and that woman ogre as well. All three of them, along with Puss and Donkey, helping take down some witches. But of course, while doing so, they also did. Well, that's what the first stage would be of the third level. The second stage would be to find a way to escape Dragon, or at least Shrek and Fiona, where you get to have to tie the dragon, who's pretty much been tormented her whole life and only sees food in her eyes. I mean, then again, Donkey didn't really say the exact words he said to Dragon in the first movie. Third stage is basically going up against Rumpelstiltskin himself, both with Donkey, Puss, and Cookie and that Stoic and that Lady Ogre, as well as a freed Shrek and Fiona. Those two, along with those three ogres and Donkey and Puss, or Puss, or just yeah. And they have to go up against a horde of witches and try to beat both Rumpelstiltskin, who is basically flying with that little goose of his, or big goose of his. Fiona must try to stun the bird, which will then lose its balance of flying, and Rumpelstiltskin will. Okay, that's basically a double fight, really. Like you gotta use Fiona to beat the bird, and use any character in general. Well, then again, there's probably going to be a fourth stage. The fourth stage is basically actually the third stage wouldn't be the ogres. The ogres have to change. The third stage is basically Shrek, Fiona, Donkey, and Puss as they go up against Rumpelstiltskin and his pet goose and then after a while, you see you gotta stun his goose. He'll fall down. They both fall down. You have to punch Rumpelstiltskin, who's retorted to using magic. So in a way, I guess you have to sort of deflect it with Puss's sword in a way, or even maybe Fiona's a sword person too. I mean, then again, the whole Shrek universe is basically starting off with a major character who is a big Lego figure. We need that. Sure, Lego Marvel Superheroes in the first level, which I did not know was the first level because I thought it was a demo, when Iron Man and Hulk came in and had to defeat both Sandman and both Abomination and Sandman with help of Spider-Man. And the only way to well, actually, no, back to the whole thing again. Shrek, basically, after you defeat Rumpelstiltskin and you while also trying to stop, I mean, you gotta have to face a lot of witches because they'll be protecting Rumpelstiltskin and his goose. So, beat the witches first, stun his bird, his pet fowl, then beat his tiny little arse. And then you finish that level. The characters you unlock they'll be separate characters. Like Fiona won't necessarily. Okay, so the difference between the Fiona from the first three movies to the Fiona of the alternate timeline of Forever After, she gets a sword, probably a shield too. While Shrek also gets a different version. Okay, so between the three, there are going to be three Shrek characters. The first one is the Shrek who's just a big Lego figure, who can also do different styles. There's the Shrek 2 version. I mean, technically the Shrek 1 version, no, hold on. Well, Shrek 3 would be more of the warrior version, while the first one can have a second style. Okay, basically there's a lot of Shrek skins that go by itself, like Shrek as a knight, Shrek as a warrior in an alternate timeline, and Shrek with the regular style, like the Shrek who's normal, and then there's the Shrek who's sort of the same, but only has a different ability where he can now turn back and forth into his human form. So yeah, there's literally just four versions of Shrek. One from the first movie, the second movie with its... Actually, there's going to pretty much be a little bit more. Like, there's going to be Shrek Claws, or Ogre Claws. Basically a lot of different stuff in a way. There's going to be a regular puss, a fat puss, or a chubby puss, And anywho, for Donkey, let's just say he sort of looks the same both in Shrek 1, well, Shrek 2, he's basically Donkey that can also switch between his donkey form to a stallion. To a stallion. And then the third one is basically he has something to do with waffles or something, or just looks the same, but yeah, I'm going to do that with waffle stuff. And when it comes to Fiona, let's just say that the first one, she's a human in one, but she has the ability to use her curse, although she's been free of it. So the first one would. Okay, so actually, there's pretty much a lot of Fiona skins. So there's human Fiona, who's appeared, but then again, even in the. Basically, I think she has two. There's two Shrek. So actually, no, wait. Fiona has styles, forms of herself. She can change between her human and her ogre state in the first movie for the big Lego figure and minifigure, sort of like Bruce Banner. It's the same way with the second one, but they get the style of being white, since Fiona appeared with her white honeymoon dress from the last movie, and she still has the ability to change between ogres and ogre form and human form. But then again, that's sort of like free mode, because in story mode she can't do that unless you actually had to do that. She's obviously for special ability at singing, kung fu brawler, that's for sure, and she's agile, so she can double jump even as a big Lego figure. And the third style would have to be her. She's still gonna have to metamorphosis change, but she's going to have different style of clothing. I mean, like with her blue dress, since she mostly appeared in it. And in the fourth, she's basically like red, like wild maned girl warrior, Amazon warrior, with a few weapons like a sword, who still has softness in her heart. I mean, even as an ogre, she's still soft, strong, strong and firm, but sweet and kind when it comes to all the ogre kind and her friends. Which can be said for all forms of her. So that's all of them together. And when it comes to others, like you get to unlock Gingy the Barbarian with regular Gingy and Mongo, who of course Mongo's gonna be a big Lego figure. But anywho, you know what? You know what? We have enough time. I could probably mention a Kung Fu Panda 3. Okay, so let's see. Whew. I mean, then again, he's really just going to see a noodle, get some food. That's all he's going to do in the first part of the movie. So the first level, you have to play as Kai against Master Oogway. But you can't unlock Kai until the end of the movie. So while you have Big Lego Po from the first movie, with Big Lego Po 2, who's still the same, and there's going to be a third variation of Po, who can, after who of course, after beating Kai, he earns a new weapon. Like he can choose between fist kung fu fighting or using a kung fu fighting with a bow staff that Master Oogway gave to him after after defeating Kai. But back to the level things, like seriously, that's literally the first level. The second level is just not with all the bit parts with like a sort of like a free roam stuff. You get to meet Lotus, but you can't play as him yet. I mean, in free play, you can't unlock them yet unless you finish the movie. Like, that's how most of the Lego games are. Like, you can unlock them in some levels. Like, Lego, it's like Lego Jurassic World in a way. They did exactly that. You unlock the character first before you even get to play as them. And that's what they did when they unlocked, when you get to freely unlock Ian Malcolm, Donald Gennaro, and John Hammond within the free realm. But with Kung Fu Panda 3, Poe, Tigress also gets a change. She gets to wear a golden robe, probably to symbolize that despite the fact that she's a tiger, she still has some regality. I think that's a word. Viper, Mantis, Monkey, and Crane are the same as well, but in a way, there's also different styles of them too, since Tigress was the only one of the movie who did not get turned into a jade zombie. Yeah, a zombie. Jade zombie, thanks to Kai. And of course, that actually leads up to second level. You play as Mantis and Crane, along with Master Bear and Chicken and the ferocious Master Croc yet again. But this time you have to use all four of them to try to beat Kai. But of course, Kai beats you. That's the end of second level. Third level, Tigress, Shifu, Viper, and Monkey try to defend the Jade Palace, but lose. Even if you beat Kai, actually it's more like a secondary Kai beats, sort of like another villain level again, because you gotta actually play the role. So, I mean, even though you fight for good, you want to do the good thing, you still have to fight off the bad. Actually, yeah, that's kind of it. And in the third level, let's just say that it's like a lot of parts have gone fast ahead, so that means you gotta like play as many different characters, like a whole village of big Lego village or Lego figures in the form of giant pandas. So that means Lotus, or no wait, Lee, the ribbon girl dancer of the May girl with the ribbon, the big friendly hugger. I'm guessing the bucktooth guy, the grandma, the baby panda, and well, you also get to play as Mr. Peng too. So lots of different stages. Like the first stage, you play as the pandas. With the second stage is basically a boss fight between a zombie Shifu with zombie Shifu, but you play as both Peng and Lee against him. Heck, then it'll go into a little fight. Like one character is the movement, but you can also while both single and multiplayer can work together in one body to do so. Or they can be literally just one character, John, or just actually that'd be a side ability when it in free play. Like Pen can easily just go onto Lee to combine like double down defense. That's like a little ability of theirs together. And when it comes to the third stage, it's basically Poe versus Kai, but of course Poe gets defeated. Well, actually, no. The third stage is within the dragon realm, is within the spirit realm, and Poe gets a new form of him. This Poe, however, is a fourth variation of Poe who is dressed up in dragon warrior clothes and can even coat himself within a dragon form. Can switch between regular form or a dragon form. And use that to face Kai. Heck, even Master Ugo will probably help too. Like it's like in Lego games, you can even switch up the scenes in some movies. Like this could be a secondary player, so the second player could be Master Uguay, and that both you as Poe or the other you as Master Uguay face off against Kai and beat, and then you basically unlock the third variation and fourth variation of Poe within the character wheel or the periodic table of characters. And that's pretty much what sums up both Shrek 4 and Kung Fu Panda 3. So that means there are still a few other movie franchises I still need to do. I don't know about Boss Baby since I didn't really watch that much. Not really a fan of it. I mean, it's okay, but I think Trolls would be better. Speaking of which, I will have to do a trilogy not of just How to Train Your Dragon, Boss Baby, and Trolls. I mean, the Trolls can probably use their singing since you can play as pop Trolls, play as country Trolls, rock, or there you go, pop, country, classic, funk, techno, not hold on, pop, country, classic, or funk, classic, or yet pop, funk, country, classic, techno, and rock and roll. So that'd be difficult. I mean, with all the characters and stuff. And there are other stuff too. Like, for instance, there's also the shows too. Like, well, there's other movies too, like Megamind with only one movie, the campaign, which of course those levels involve only there. But you can also do the movie for the Button of Doom. Actually, that's just a bonus about fight. And then there's the Rescue Riders. There's the Nine Realms. There's extra characters from even the shows, such as like Alvin and Mildew, or yeah, pretty much it. So, I think that'll be all for now. But I hope you all enjoy, and I'll get to work on episode 8 through whatever number is next. Heck, up to all the way for Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish, and even Ruby Gilman. But for now, bye!